Hello friends, I again welcome you all to my audio tutorial. My name is Harshit Dwivedi and in today's audio tutorial I will tell you about the Indian Independence Act of 1947. Well, we all know that this act is most important when it comes to explore the history of India and Pakistan. So, British Prime Minister Clement Attlee on 20th February 1947 declared that the British rule in India would come to an end by 30th of June 1948. He said that on 20th February that the British rule will end by 30th June in 1948, and after that the power would be transferred to the concerned responsible Indian persons who would be available at that time. Now after this announcement, there was a huge agitation and vehement opposition from the Muslim League. The Muslim League at that time was demanding the partition of the country. So on 3rd of June 1947, British government said that whatever constitution that will be formed by the Constituent Assembly of India, the first Constituent Assembly of India, which was formed in 1946. So on 3rd June 1947, British government said that whatever constitution is being prepared by the Constituent Assembly of India, which was formed in 1946, that constitution will not be applicable to those parts of the country India which were not ready to accept it. Obviously, we know that our country was hugely distributed in riayats and provinces, local provinces. And I should tell you that at the time of independence, our country was divided into main three parts. I have also told this to you in my previous audio tutorial, that there were those territories which were under the direct control of the British, which were also known as the British territories or British possessions. Now those British possessions were distributed into four types of places: A category of states, B category of states, C category of states, and D category of states. The second part was a tribal part of the country. There was a big tribal belt in the country. So this was also one of the most significant part of the country. And the third was that there were 552 princely states in the country, which had its own ruler, and he used to rule in his own way. So we can say that in addition to the British territories, there were 552 princely states and tribal areas. Now obviously, it's a very common general rule or human nature, you can say, that we all know that if we rule something, then it's a natural tendency on our part that we don't want to dilute our authority. That means that if we are ruling something, that if we are the owner, maybe you think that we are an owner of an enterprise, then we will try our level best that no part of the enterprise goes away from my hand. That is, as a human nature, or I can say that as a cunning human nature, everybody is cunning nowadays, or a smart human nature, we will try our best that we do not dilute our authority or control or part or share in any organization or any company. So, we can definitely imagine that those 552 princely states, they had their own ruler, they had their own governing council. So they were not at all ready to leave their power. The rulers thought that we want to be a separate country. So most of them, they were not ready to come and join India. So this was a very huge and a very cumbersome task. And we cannot even imagine what sort of difficulty was present at that time, at the time of independence of India. It was a huge challenge for the political masters and the lawmakers of India in order to integrate all of those 552 princely states in India. Also, on the same day, that is the 3rd of June 1947, on which the British government declared that those parts of the country India that are not willing to join the dominion of India, then the Constitution of India will not apply to those parts. On that very same day, that is on 3rd June 1947, Lord Mountbatten plan was put forward. Now this was the very first start of the all mayhem and all the cumbersome and all the tricky and all the dirty politics that was being played at that time by the British government. Indirectly, the British government tried, and we can say that British government sew a net, the net in order to divide India and make it weaker. That is why in the Mountbatten plan, who was presented by Lord Mountbatten on 3rd June 1947, who was then the Viceroy of India, he put forward the partition plan of the country India, in which it was being presented by Lord Mountbatten that the country of India will be divided into two parts, the Dominion of India and the Dominion of Pakistan. And this plan also said that all of the 552 princely states, it depends on their ruler that whether if they want, they can join the Dominion of India. If they want, they can join the Dominion of Pakistan. And if they want to remain independent and they want to maintain their sovereignty, then they can remain independent. So, by putting forward the Lord Mountbatten plan, it was actually a trick, a dirty trick, and I can also say a pathetic trick that was played by that time British government in order to disintegrate India into 552 parts. This was the strategy of the Britishers at that time, that they wanted India to break into several small parts so that due to the lack of integrity, they would become weaker. So this was one of the most important feature which brought in the Indian Independence Act of 1947. This Lord Mountbatten plan, unfortunately, was accepted by the leaders of India and Pakistan, and on that fateful day, the country was being partitioned into two different dominions. The Dominion of India and the Dominion of Pakistan. Now, immediate effect was given to the Lord Mountbatten plan by enacting the Indian Independence Act 1947. Now, I would like to make it clear that the exact day on which these two new independent dominions of India and Pakistan were formed, it was the 12 o'clock night of 14-15 August 1947, on which as soon as the clock struck 12, British rule in India came to an end and the power was transferred to the two new independent dominions of India and the Dominion of Pakistan. Lord Mountbatten became the first Governor General of the new Dominion of India, and at the same time he swore in Jawaharlal Nehru as the first Prime Minister of the independent India. So, if anywhere it is being asked to you that through which plan it was being put forwarded that two dominions of India and Pakistan would be formed, it was the Lord Mountbatten plan. It was basically a plan which was a dirty trick played on part by the British government in order to disintegrate India into 552 states. But due to the presence of charismatic leaders like Sardar Patel, the integrity of India was maintained. Obviously, Pakistan was separated, but Shri Sardar Patel has a very huge role in integrating those 552 princely states into India. Sardar Patel was entrusted with this task and he used all the tricks in the book in order to integrate those 552 princely states into India. This was a huge task done by Sardar Patel, and we as a generation, we as the population, we as the citizens of India owe this to our charismatic leader Sardar Patel, because he was the person who is responsible for the huge size and large geographical area of our country, that is India. Now, if we go in detail, there is a huge lecture of this thing, and there are many different things and very interesting things that I will like to tell you here. But still now I haven't started clearly what Indian Independence Act 1947 was. I have just told you the introduction. I will discuss this to you in the Indian national movement, the whole Indian history, the whole Indian national movement, what happened, when happened. I will tell you about this in detail. But currently, at present, I am stopping this and I am jumping directly to the features and the important characteristics of the Indian Independence Act of 1947. So the very first characteristic of the Indian Independence Act of 1947 was that India on 15th August 1947 was released from the British control. That is, on 15th August 1947, the British rule in India came to an end and India was declared as an independent and sovereign state. Sovereign state means that such a country or a state which is free from foreign influence and is free to make its own laws and regulations. The second most important feature of the act was that the partition of India was there and creation of two new independence dominions, that is the Dominion of India and the Dominion of Pakistan, was done. Third characteristic: through this act, appropriate powers were given to both the dominions. That is, they can form constituent assemblies of their own and they can frame their own constitution according to their own wants. And they can also repeal or abrogate any act of the British Parliament, including the Independence Act itself. That means that both the dominions of India and Pakistan were given the authority and power to form their own constituent assembly and make their own constitution. The fourth most important characteristic was that the constituent assemblies of both the dominions were given freedom to make laws, pass ordinances and legislate on matters that fall in their respective territory. And no act of the British Parliament that is passed after August of 1947 will pass to any of the two dominions, that is, to the Dominion of India and to the Dominion of Pakistan. So in short, this point means that the constituent assemblies of the respective two dominions, that is the Dominion of India and the Dominion of Pakistan, they were free to legislate on matters that happen on their respective territory, and even if an act is passed by the British Parliament after 15th of August 1947, it will not be applicable to the territories that come under the influence of the dominion of India and the dominion of Pakistan. The fifth most important point is that I have already told you that there were 552 princely states. All those 552 princely states were given the freedom that they, according to their choice, can join the Dominion of India, or they can also join the Dominion of Pakistan, or they can remain an independent state. The next most important point is that the office of Secretary of State of India was abolished and his authorities, controls and power were transferred to the Secretary of State for Commonwealth Affairs. The first Governor General of the new Dominion of India was Lord Mountbatten. And through this act, it was said that the provincial governors, that the governors which were present in the presidencies and the provinces, and the Governor General of India, they were basically designated to be the constitutional heads of the states. But an obligation was made on them, or maybe you can say imposed on them, that they were forced to act on the advice of the respective council of ministers in all matters. That is, the Governor General of India and the provincial governors, they were being declared as the constitutional head, but a condition was imposed on them that they have to work in accordance with the advice that they were given by the respective council of ministers. One more very important feature of this Indian Independence Act 1947 was that till the new constitutions of both the Dominion of India and the Dominion of Pakistan are formed, it was said that all the administrative work and the things and the provisions and the laws will be made according to the provisions that are mentioned in the Government of India Act of 1935. That is, the governance basically of India will be done on the basis of the provisions that are mentioned in the Government of India Act of 1935 till the new constitutions of both the dominions are formed. However, the constituent assemblies of both the dominions were authorized to make appropriate modifications in the Government of India Act of 1935 as they would like to do it. That means, till the two dominions, that is the Dominion of India and the Dominion of Pakistan, till their constitution are not formed, they have to work in accordance with the provisions of the Government of India Act of 1935, and in order to make that act, the provisions of the Government of India Act of 1935 more suitable to them, they can make appropriate modifications and amendment to those acts. The next important feature of this Indian Independence Act was that the title of Emperor of India from the royal titles of the King of England was abolished. That is, now the King of England was no more called as the Emperor of India. The next very important point was that the Secretary of State for India previously appointed civil servants in the civil services, and there was reservation in posts of the civil services by the Secretary of State. That is, the Secretary of State was responsible for the appointment of persons, civil servants in the civil services, and he used to make reservations so that people can be allotted the civil services job according to his likes. But by this act, this thing was repealed. But it also said that all those members of the civil services that were given their appointment before the independence, that is before August 15, 1947, would continue to enjoy all the benefits that they were entitled to according to their jobs. That means that the appointment to the civil services and reservation of posts by the Secretary of State of India was abolished, but all those civil servants who got the job before Indian independence, that is before 15th August 1947, they were entitled to all the benefits that they used to get. Now, the last important feature of this Indian Independence Act of 1947 was that before this Indian Independence Act of 1947, the British monarch or the British Crown had the right to veto bills or stop bills, or he also had the right that certain bills should be kept for his prior approval before implementation. So this right of the British monarch, that he can stop a bill, veto a bill, or keep a bill in order to first see it and first approve it, this right was being taken away by the British monarch. But this right was still reserved for the Governor General of India. That is, the Governor General of India had full power to give his assent to any bill, to keep the bill for his reservation, or to veto the bill. So, friends, I have told you in detail about many features and many important characteristics of the Indian Independence Act of 1947. I hope you would like it. This lecture was a bit long one because Indian Independence Act 1947 is a bit long one. Currently, I am uploading Indian polity and constitution lectures. So what is there in my mind is that I am going to upload for you Indian polity and constitution. I am going to upload for you Indian history, medieval history, ancient history, modern history, the total history syllabus, both for prelims IAS and for mains IAS, general studies section, and for all other examinations. After this, I will upload economics material, and at the last, I will try to upload the geography material. Going by the prelims point of view of the UPSC, geography is very important. So friends, I am slowly uploading this video. However, do remember to leave your comment in my website so that I should come to know that whether you are liking my audio tutorials or not. If you have suggestions, please leave your suggestions to me so that I can make appropriate amendments or changes in my audio tutorial so that it can be more beneficial to you. So friends, thank you for listening to the audio tutorial. My name is Harshit Dwivedi and I am signing off. I will see you later. Thank you. Hello friends. I again welcome you all to my audio tutorial.